In this project, we're going to be building a user authentication system using Node along with a bunch of other modules. So Passport is the main module that's going to take care of the authentication, the login, the registration, and all that. And we're going to be using bcrypt to hash passwords. We're going to use MongoJS to communicate with MongoDB. We're going to use Express Messages for flash messaging. We're going to use Express Validator to validate input, and we're going to use EJS for our template engine. Alright, so let's take a look at the app. You'll see that I'm at localhost 3000 users/login. If I try to go to just localhost 3000, it just boots us back here because it's protected. You have to be logged in. So what we can do is click register, and we get this registration form. And we do have form validation, so you'll see if I just put whatever in these fields and click login, see that email must be valid, which it isn't, and passwords do not match. Alright, so now let's fill it out correctly. So email, username, we'll just say John. Alright, so we'll go ahead and register. So now it says you're now registered and you may log in. So let's go ahead and put in our login. So we'll say John1234, log in, and it redirects us to the index page, and you can see we can also access user information. Alright, and then we have a logout link up here. If we click that, it'll log us back out. Alright, so it seems very simple, but there's actually quite a bit of code, quite a bit of modules that we'll be using that will be useful to you throughout your career as a developer. So what we're going to do first is we're going to create our folder and create our package.json file. Alright, so I'm going to just snap this over to the side, and let's open our editor. Okay, so we're going to, now I do have MongoDB installed. If you don't have it installed, go to I believe it's mongodb.com or org. Just get that set up. We do have a section dedicated to MongoDB in the database part of this course. Alright, so let's create a folder. Let's see, where do I want to put this? Let's go in C drive and projects. And I'm going to create a folder here called, we're just going to call it Passport App. Alright, and we're going to head to that in the command prompt. Alright, and let's go ahead and run npm init. That'll create the package.json file for us. I'm going to say app.js for the entry point. Alright, so that created package.json. I'm going to open this in my editor because we're going to create quite a few files. Alright, so if we open that up, we just have our information we just added. Now we have a lot of modules to add, so we're going to go over and run npm install and just put all of these modules on the same line. Okay, so we're going to need Express, we're going to need MongoJS, what else? We're going to need, let me just check, EJS for our templates, Express Messages, Express Validator, Express Session, Connect Flash, and what else? Passport, and we also want Passport Local. Okay, Passport actually allows many different methods to authenticate. You can use local like we're going to do, which is just a local database. There's also Passport Twitter, where you can use Twitter logins, Passport Facebook, Gmail, all kinds of different authentication methods. But we're just going to stick to local. Okay, we're also going to need body parser. And I think that should be it. Yeah, that should be it. So let's say --save, and we'll run that. Okay, that'll get everything installed. Alright, now if we look over to our package.json file, you can see all of the different modules and their versions. Oh, actually we need bcrypt too. So we'll say npm install. Now, bcrypt itself actually has quite a few dependencies. So we're not going to use bcrypt, we're going to use bcrypt.js, which is just it's all in JavaScript and it's much easier to work with. And then I also want Bootstrap. Okay, we're going to use Bootstrap, and you can install it through npm. Of course, you can use the CDN, or however, you can use Bower, but we'll use npm just to kind of keep everything within the node modules. Alright, so let's say --save. And there we go. So those should get added here, and we're all set. Now what we're going to do is create our app.js file. And you can see we have a lot of modules, so we have a lot of middleware to set up. Alright, so first of all, let's just include everything up here. And I'm going to paste this in to just save on time a little bit. So we have Express, we have the core path module, the Express validator, Express session, Passport. This is the local strategy from Passport that we're using. Body parser and Flash. Okay, Flash and Express messages work together. We'll be adding that middleware in a second. Alright, and Express messages, what it does is basically allows us to have things like this, to say we're logged in, logged out, and so on. Alright, so now what we're going to do, we're going to break our routes up into two different sections. We're going to have an index and users. Okay, index will represent the home page, the page that you have to be logged in for, and then users will have the registration and the login and all that. So let's go ahead and create a variable for index, which I'm going to call routes. So we'll say require, and that'll be /. We're going to have a folder called routes and a file called index. Okay, we're also going to have our users. Alright, so now let's create our app variable. I'm just going to set that to Express. And we're going to set up our view engine, which is EJS. So first we'll set the view folder. Okay, so we're going to set the view folder to views. Then we need to set the view engine, which will be EJS. Alright, so let's also set a static folder. Should be path.join. Okay, and the static folder is going to be called public. Alright, let's set up the body parser middleware. And I'm just going to paste this in. Just a couple lines. And I'm going to widen this a little bit. Alright, so now we're going to need our Express session middleware. I'm going to grab that real quick. Okay, and if you go to the Express session documentation, you should see this stuff. That's where I'm getting it from. Alright, if we go down to right here. Okay, so you can see we're just setting up standard middleware. Nothing special, it's just kind of default functionality. Alright, now Passport also has a couple lines of middleware we're going to add. Okay, so we want to call .initialize and .session, and then we have the Express validator. So if you want to check that out, this is the documentation for that. Okay, it gives us the usage, which we'll get to later on. But right now, we just want this middleware. That's what I'm pasting in now. All right, now we want the Connect Flash middleware. And like I said, Connect Flash works with Express messages. So what we're doing here is basically setting a global variable that's going to hold our messages. All right, so we'll use that later on in the templates. Now what we want to do is define our routes to those two folder files that I specified, index and users. So app.use, and this is going to be / represent the home page, routes, and then we'll have / users. Okay, and then we just want to call app.listen so that we can run the server. We'll say port 3000, and let's just do a console log. Alright, so let's go ahead and save that. Now, if we try and run the server now, it's going to give us an error because we haven't created these routes, and we also haven't created the views folder. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll say new folder routes, and inside routes, we're going to create a file called index.js, and also users.js. Alright, so let's open up index, and we're going to first bring in Express. Okay, because we want to use the Express router. So we'll say var router equals express dot router. Okay, so our route is going to be router.get, okay, because it's for a GET request, and /, which will be the home page. Okay, then we'll put a function that's going to take in a request and response. And for right now, we're just going to say res.send index. Alright, and we have to make this accessible to other files, so we're going to say module.exports equals router. Alright, let's go ahead and copy that and save this, and then in users we'll paste that in. Okay, and we're just going to change this to login and change that to login, and then we're also going to have a register route. Okay, I'm just going to put comments here. So this is the login page, and it's a GET request because we're also going to have POST requests, so I'm going to label them. This is register page GET. Alright, so let's go ahead and save that, and let's create the views folder, and we'll try to run our app. So let's see, we're going to go right in here, and actually, you know what we're going to do is I want you to install NodeMon, which is it'll allow us to run our application and not have to restart it whenever we change something. All right, so you just want to run npm install nodemon-g. That'll install it globally. And then what we'll do is go to our package.json file, and we'll just set a script here. We don't need this test, so I'm going to change that to start. And then I'm just going to get rid of that, and we're going to say nodemon. So now we'll be able to run npm start, and it'll run our application. What's this? Oh, I already have port 3000 is being used. Let me just shut that off real quick. I have another server running. All right, let's try that again. Okay, so it's running on port 3000. So now we'll go to localhost 3000 and we get our index. Okay, and that's coming from right here. We should also be able to go to /users/login as well as users/register. All right, good. So far, so good. I think I'm going to stop the video here now that we have our basic configuration set up. In the next video, we'll start to create our views with EJS, and we'll go on from there to install Passport and the rest of our modules.